Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card, which is called a pop-up vase card, and I saw it on a video made by JanB, and I think she said that she got the idea from Tracy Allen. So thank you very much ladies, I think your card is absolutely fabulous. And what happens is when you open up the card, inside you have a pop-up vase, and you close it and it goes flat. Isn't that beautiful? Jane did her card using the Magnolia die. I've used the Pretty Perennials stamp set, that one, which has got dies to go with it, which are these. Okay, and I've used that one and that one, and I also used that little one and that one, and they were for the little centres there. You can stamp them straight in like that one, but you can hardly see it, which is why I decided to go for the stamped ones, and I think they pop a little bit. I think it looks much nicer. The leaf, the greenery that I've got there is from, and I mean you can use any greenery that you have. Mine is from Forever Flourishing, which comes with the matches the Forever Fern set, and that's the one that I've used. Okay, so it's that, which is really nice because there's plenty of leaves at the back, but they don't overpower the flowers. So I'm going to, one mistake that I've made with this one was, you can see that little flower over the top there. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. Never mind, I'm still very pleased with this. My prototype, which hasn't been finished off, I haven't done the front there, I used the tulips, and I thought that came out quite nice as well. Okay, the designer series paper on that one was Ornate Garden, and this one is Love You Always, and I'm going to be using Hydrangea Hill for our card now. So I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that you're going to be needing. I have done quite a lot of this ahead of time because it does take time to put all the flowers and everything into the vase. So let me start by, the cardstock is Purple Posy, and this needs to be 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8. The measurements I'm giving are for people who are using A4 cardstock, and they are in all the inches. In the box below I will be putting the metric measurements for A4 cardstock users, and I will also be putting inches for letter size cardstock users. Okay, but just to keep it clean and simple during the video, I'm just giving the A4 users inches. Then you need a piece of Pretty Peacock, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5 3/8. Now the two layers that I'm having inside my card are smaller than I normally do, and the reason I'm doing them smaller is because you're going to have that shouldn't have come as far over as that, so I've cut it back for this, but it will still come over very slightly as it has done on that one. Okay, so that's why that is 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches. It needs a Whisper White layer on top, which is 3 5/8 inches by 5 1/4 inches. For the front you need 3 pieces of Pretty Peacock, and these measure 1 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then you need 3 pieces of the Hydrangea Hill designer series paper, and they measure 1 5/8 inches by 3 5/8 inches. The idea of doing 3 panels there, I have copied it from Jane. Her card really does look lovely. So there was that. This is for the vase, and that measures 2¼ inches by 5 inches. You need, this is for this one here, Purple Posy scalloped circle, which has been die cut using the layering circles dies, and that has been die cut with die number 4. And this is going to be under there, and this was die cut with scallop die number 5. And if you don't have the dies, the scallop is about 2 1/8 inches, and the larger scallop is about 2 3/8 inches. I'll put the measurements in the box down below. So there's those. You will need a piece of Purple Posy to measure 3/4 inch by 3 7/8 inches, and you need another piece that's 1/2 inch by 2 inches. I've got a scrap for my leaves. You need another couple of scraps. These are double layers of cardstock, and they are for the stems of the flowers, and the reason that they are doubled is to give them extra strength and support for the actual flowers. And I'm going to show you how I did that. That's going to be our first job, and then the rest of it, yeah, that was the leftover, that bit. Got scraps. I can't remember what I bought those scraps for, but I'm sure I'll use them. So let me show you how this card goes together. Now, the bit that I'm going to do first are these two, and I'm going to do them first because I'm going to stick them both together using Tombow, and I just want this to dry before I put this through my trimmer. And this does need to be glued pretty well. You don't need to do it absolutely solid, but you do need to put glue more or less all over. I'm doing it with you because I want you to see exactly how much glue I've put on it. Okay, so I start off by doing the edges, and then I do zigzags, and then I turn it the other way and do more zigzags. I think I might have written down what size these two were. I'll have a look at just a moment. It doesn't really matter how long, but I think I did. Did I? Green strips. Right, okay, these are for, you need a minimum of 4½ inches. Okay, and I'm going to really press that together so that the Tombow can spread all around. Okay, now we'll come back to that. Now it's oozing out a little bit, but I'm not unduly worried about that, as long as they stick together beautifully. Okay, so that looks good. So I'll put that on one side, we'll come back to that. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these inside my card. As I say, this is smaller than I would normally do it, but only by 1/8 of an inch. I thought if I went any smaller than that, it might be too small. The mechanism still seems to work, even though it's going over this layer very slightly. and most of this I am using tear and tape to adhere my pieces together. The bits that I usually do with Tombow, like my layers, I will carry on doing with layers. Now when you put this in, you see how much bigger gap you've got. Just slide it over to this edge very slightly. Okay, so can you see how much of a gap I've got there? Yes, you can. Okay, make sure it's got the same gap top and bottom, and try and make it straight as well. Yes, that looks good. And then on the front, for these three, I lay them down on here first, and then I'm going to do this one. I haven't checked whether my pattern's lined up. This is a small pattern and it really doesn't matter whether it does or not. If it was a more obvious design, then I would have taken more care with it. Now with this first piece, what I do is I position it so that I've got the same sort of gap on both sides and at the top there. Okay. And then the next one, I'm going to do the bottom one. And again, I'm going to make sure I've got the same gap round the edges, top, bottom and the sides. The reason I'm keeping this one here is to make sure that I'm staying lined up down there. I don't want to finish up with these panels looking more like steps. And it also helps to make sure that I've got them straight as well. Or if one's crooked, they'll all be the same amount of crooked. There we go. And then the last one. And then just make sure you've got equal gap between that one and that one. A slight difference there, but I'm not going to worry about it. So that's the basic of our card together. Let's just put that one together as well. I thought this Tombow might start playing me up today, so I brought another one over, just in case. Okay. Right, shall we do some, what should we do, stamping or... I used to be indecisive. Now, I actually haven't done the sentiment yet. But I will do one of everything. But the sentiment, I do need to actually die cut it and use it for my card. The flowers I've been stamping using Highland Heather. The reason is the purple posy was just too light. I could have gone over it a second time, but it still wouldn't have come up as dark as that. Okay, but it will work, so that's no problem. So some Whisper White Cardstock. We don't actually have any more Whisper White. The company that we used to get it from closed down. Unfortunately, a victim of COVID, I understand. So ours is now called Basic White, and it looks and feels the same, but I just got quite a lot of stock of Whisper White here, so I will carry on using it. I will try and get into the habit of saying Whisper White. That might have moved. Let me see. No, that looks fine. It looks like my ink pad could do with re-inking. There we go. That's it, that's fine. So that will need to be die cut. That's that one. Right, what else have we got? Now we have this flower. This is a smaller one. Should I put some paper in here? Might help, mightn't it? Let's just put that there. The reason this is in the middle is because I was using the same piece of paper that had my larger flower on. Right, so that one, but the other piece went right up there, so I didn't have to juggle about with my paper, which is what I'm going to have to do now. Is that going to go over? Oops. Yep, that'll be right. Just double check that. Let's just move it down a tad. There we go. Let go. That's not stamped very well at all, is it? That's better. Oh, that's much more like it. Okay, and the other things that I've been stamping, leave that over there, that one. These are the little centres of the stamps, and I've been using Bumblebee because I think it's a very nice yellow. It's a really, like, it's what I call a creamy yellow. There's that one. And that one. Have I thought of all the stamping? I think I have. I'm not going to make you watch me die cut it all out. I will do this one. I know, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It makes a change, doesn't it? And I also need to die cut that for the greenery. Okay, so let's move these out of the way as I finish with them. Those two can go up on the shelf. Right. That can go away as well, we don't need that. Shall we do the die cutting first? I think so. I just want to explain to you how I do my dies on these, because they don't actually, they're not symmetrical, so you need a way to be able to identify them. In fact, I might as well die cut these as I'm here, mightn't I? Now what I do is on this one there's what I'm calling a little boomerang. There's a white bit there, and this one, that white there, it's split. Okay, so that's what I did first of all. I identified areas on the die that I would remember. Okay, so that one's open there, and that one's got the little boomerang. So then on here I put black marks, blue marks actually. So I know that blue mark goes to that one where that is opened. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do these all in once, am I? So I'll forget it, I'll just show you. And that one there goes with that there. Okay, so you pick something that is obvious to you, that you remember, and you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to leave that bit for now. These are very fiddly, but as I showed you, it is worth making the effort to do it. And I haven't been able to identify how to recognise them, except this one. I sort of see a man's head with the arms and the legs. And what did I see? Oh, that's right. And then I can see his head there, his two arms, and then his feet. So that should fit on there, if it would stop jumping. Okay, so there's that one, that would go. I'm not going to do it, just in case. And this one, it's got that straight line. Was it that line? No. Oh, maybe it was that. There's a line of 3 that I was following. There we go. Alright, so it's more or less a straight line there, and it goes on that one. So all we need to do is check that line of 3 and that line of 3. They're the 3 that are closer to each other. So there's that one. Now this I'm going to die cut with the straight cut layering circles, and it's number 4. I'm going to cut that so that I can turn it towards me. Those I will save. There's that. And I'm also going to do my leaves, which is from this one, Forever Flourishing. And that should fit on there quite nicely. Yes, that's good. And that's fine. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. I thought I got dirt on that. Let's save that because I can die cut that later. And then this. Let's get rid of those little bits. Okay. So there's that. And let's move the dies over. I wish I worked as tidy as this when I wasn't videoing. That is it with the big shot. So I think, oops, we can start the fun bit. Okay, so we need to use a trimmer on that. That I'm going to show you because of this one here. Need those two bits. And that's all we need at the moment. Okay, right. I'm going to leave that as long as possible. Now I'm going to use my trimmer, which is here. Now I'm going to check the measurements as I go along so that I don't tell you something wrong, have to correct it, and then you've got two measurements in your mind. Right, okay, that's my right side. That's going to be the pattern on my vase. So what you need to do first of all is turn it over so you've got the wrong side facing you. Let me use that one, I understand my scribbles better. Now what you need to do on here is you need to score it, but be very, very careful on how much pressure you put on it because it is paper. So first of all you're going to line it up at 3/4 of an inch, which is nice because it's right by that black line coming down here, so you can see whether you've got your design series paper straight. Okay, so very carefully score along there. Then move this along to 1.5 inches and score it again. Okay, now turn it over to the right side and make it on the horizontal side. Line this side up to 1 inch there and score it. And then move it along and line this side up to 1 inch and score. Okay, I can just about see mine on there. Now this one, the longer piece, this needs to be scored at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's that little line there. Now this is cardstock, so you can give it a little bit of welly. There we go, that's fine. Now, this is my last piece. This I found a bit fiddly, probably not least because I'm still wearing these nails. The instruction was that you take a strip that's 1/2 inch wide, you score down at 1/4 of an inch, fold it in half and glue it. But what I thought was, and I know it works because that's how I did my Cocoa Rose card. I glued it together. Now I only need this to be 1/4 of an inch because it's double layered. So move that one out of the way. Now this will cut, but you need to put a bit of extra pressure on it. Okay. And then you just keep cutting at 1/4 of an inch. If you did really long ones, which I did on one of mine, I didn't press hard enough on that, look at that. If you don't press hard enough on this, just pop it through with your scissors. it's scored it, but not enough. There we go. Just made it a little bit hairy there. But the chances of that actually being seen is pretty slight. And there we go. That's better. Right, I was trying to say, if you did this with larger pieces of cardstock, then you can cut them in half for when you're putting your flowers on. Okay, there's not enough room on this to cut in half. I might be able to get away with a small flower a little bit. But if you did this, say, about 7 or 8 inches long, then you'd definitely be able to have one strip, cut it in half, and that would do 2 flowers. Okay, so I'm not going to try doing any more because I've got quite a few here. And I think that's all I need this for, isn't it? Right, I'll bring my tear and tape over. This is the one we're going to work with first. Now, if you can't see your score lines, try just folding them a little bit. These on the north of the 1 inch score line, it doesn't matter if you fold those. Okay, there we go. That will make cutting a lot easier. Now what we're going to do is, what did I do? I did have a spare one. Can't remember. So let me just get my scissors. This is a bit like box making. What we need to do is, first of all, cut that rectangle out and that one. Okay, so you've just got 1 tab left. And what I do is on this side of the score line, on this one coming down, I cut right on the edge of the score line, so when that bit drops off, it takes the score line with it. And on this side, score just that side of the score line, so that the score line drops off with that bit. Okay, and you can fold that bit as well, that doesn't matter. Right, so I'm just going to the very edge of the score line, and then the very edge of the score line again. And there. I don't think I've gone right up to the edge. It's getting a little bit busy here, so it's not quite so easy to see. Now if you fold that one over, making sure that you folded it straight, which obviously I can't because I haven't cut it right the way yet. That's better. Then you can decide where you need to cut on there. Ah, that looks better. There we go. Alright, so you've got that shape. Now this end, you're going to cut the middle one off. Leave these 2, but cut that one. Let's do that first. Let's see which side is easier. Let's just bend those bits. Okay, so this is the one that I need to cut out. I'm just going to cut into that to remind me. Earlier on when I was doing one of these, I finished up with 2 tabs, one there and one there. So I'm a little bit ultra cautious at the moment. I know I can hear you all shouting at me. So how far did I cut? I wonder if I can get away with that. Well, for the sake of the video, yes, I'm going to keep going with this. So this is a bit I've got to cut off. So if I fold the other two out of the way, I can just cut across there. Okay, so those we don't need. So that's what your shape should look like. Okay, now I am just going to put a little bit of tape on that. I think it'll be okay, but I don't want to go right to the end and then find that that last bit lets me down. Oh, come on. There we go. I only need a tiny, tiny little piece. In fact, what I'm going to do is just cut down there. And cut there. Okay, and I'm going to put it on the wrong side. Where was it? There we go. Let's use my tweezers. Okay, so if you make the same mistake, you know how to fix it. There we go. Right, now, you need this piece and you need to fold on that score line. And you need to make sure that this goes through there, okay? Okay, mine will move side to side, so that's great. And what we need to do is not the folded end, but this plain end, we need to adhere it over there. Now it doesn't matter whether you do it under or over, but it is best, as Jane suggested, that you use the tape, because it's very easy to get Tombow in places you don't want it to be, and with a card like this, obviously it could stop your mechanism from working. So put a couple of pieces of tear and tape. Now the important thing about the mechanism is it's got to be straight, and I found my grid paper really helpful with this. So if I line this up, I'll use that line there, the big black line. Okay, that's good because I can see that dotted line there. So if I lay this down on top, hold on, I know this has got to be parallel to that line. In fact, it will probably cover it up. Okay, so I can see that that is straight, and I can see that's going on straight. All right, make sure that's on nice and firmly. So next we need to put some tear and tape on this folded bit. Okay, so you've got the right side facing you. And if we remove that, there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this lined up so that the card will close and have that really up nice and tight, but we've got to position it. Again, if you've got some grid paper, line your card up with it and then line the base of your vase. Now you can either do it so that it's a bit up from the bottom there, or you can come right down and make it the same all the way along. I'm going to move up a bit because I just feel that it's easier to save myself a little bit of a gap there. So what I'm doing is I've got my card here straight with this line. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that that line is, it's got the same gap all the way down. Okay, like that. So now that I'm happy with that, you see I'm holding it firmly in place there. I'm happy that nothing has moved. Got my finger stuck. Now I'm going to close this. Give that a little bit of a burnish. Bit of glue there. Okay. So then you will find that that has stuck to your card there. Don't be afraid to give that a burnish to make sure it's on there nice and firm. Now what we need to do is put some have I done that upside down? I have, haven't I? Now if you use tear and tape and you do what I've done and you put it upside down, if you're careful you can pull it off. Now fortunately for me it looks as if it's getting stuck onto the card rather than if you put it slowly you can get away with this. Okay, so it stayed on there, come off of there really nicely. So that should have been round that way. Right, yes, sorry about that. So I'm going to put another bit of tape on there because it should be on the top there. Okay, it was perfectly okay except I had the wrong side facing up. I mean, I had the right side, but I need the wrong size. Let's do that again. So your tape needs to go on the same side as the wrong side of your vase. Try this again. So line my card up again. And make sure that where I'm lining that, get a line in view first. Okay, so I've got that dotted line, that looks all straight. I'm bringing this down. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a gap here. I'm making sure that the gap there is the same all the way along. And when I'm happy with that, I'm going to try again. And I'm going to close my card. I'm going to give that a burnish. I'm going to open that up and give that a burnish as well. So I just say that once again, when you're doing this bit, you need your wrong side facing up. Okay, wrong side facing, and you need your glue facing up. Now that's better. I remembered that when she turned it over, she had the right side facing here and put tape on that side. So I hope I haven't confused you. So let's put some tear and tape on here. Don't bring it over the fold. The fold. Okay, just keep it on the tab. There we go. Now, this is the only tricky bit there is to this. In fact, let's put this other piece in first. Where's our other bar? Now we're going to put this in to hold this bit down. Okay, you just need a little bit of a gap between this bar and the end of your vase. So let's use some more tape again. So you just need to put one little bit at the top there and one little bit at the other end. Both on the same side. Okay, let's give that a little burnish, make sure it's gripping. And my sticky has come over the edge there, so I'm going to use my paper piercer to push that back over. Okay, just curl it back onto the gluey bit, otherwise that's going to get caught on something that it shouldn't be caught on. There we go. Now when you put this on, again, make sure you have your piece straight. Okay, so I'm going to make that straight, and I'm going to make sure that that's straight as well. And I'm just popping that down, so it's got a little bit of a gap there. Okay, so you should find that that moves through your card okay. Alright? Right. Now, this bit, as I say, is a tricky bit. You've got to get your two tabs in place as you close the card, not when it's open. There we go. Okay, and again, you need to make sure that this stays straight. Now mine is right at the edge, so that's going to be quite easy to keep it. I don't know how I've managed it, it shouldn't have been, but... Okay, so I'm going to lift my card ready to close it. I'm holding my tapes back. It's got stuck. Okay, bring that. As you're bringing this bit back towards here, make sure your vase is straight by looking at it from down here. Right, now I'm going to have to just close this. I don't know if I'm going to regret this. Okay, so I've got that laying down. My screen in front of me has decided to stop working, don't know why. So I can't see how I'm showing this to you. Okay, so that's straight, that's straight. Oops. Okay, so that should be... There we go. There's your vase. Let me see if I can get that screen to come back on. Oh, that's better. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so now we need to put our flowers in. So I have that one. I have these. I'm planning to use 2 small ones and 3 big ones. I may have one on the front, one of the big ones, I don't know yet. But let's concentrate on these. Right, now I do use Tombow here, and you do need to be very careful. If you do find that you get things very sticky because you've moved something and you've spread Tombow a little bit, use your embossing buddy to powder over it, and that will take your sticky away. Not quite, yeah, you would be able to get it in there just a bit, but for a really small area that in there, if you needed to do it, you could do something like any kind of powder like that and just put it on your finger and rub it in there, just take the sticky off. But hopefully you won't need to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Tombow on my stem. There we go. And then I'm going to put it down and try not to move it. Okay, so that's one big one. I'll have another big one. And I tend to twist my flowers around, like that one is at the bottom of a petal, so to speak. This one's going to go in the gap there. Now you can see why it's recommended that you have double layer stems. These really are pretty solid. Now this one, it doesn't really matter because I've got one of each there. But this one I'm not doing quite as much glue. And then these 2 little ones, I just take one of these and cut it in half. They're all the same length, about that. Yeah, okay, and these are 5.5 inches. 5.5, so that's 2 3/4 inches approximately. That's close enough. So got two little ones here. I'm doing these all to start off with because it's giving the glue time to dry. When I did the first one, I found it a bit of a nuisance with the flowers keep moving because Tombow hadn't dried. That one. Put this one sideways. And then what I did for the leaves, oh, here we go. I took, not that one, took one of these, and from about halfway up, I cut that to make it slimmer. Let's use these scissors because these are nice and sharp. These are our paper snips, fabulous scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to start cutting up here. Don't worry too much if it's not very even. It's not the easiest bit of cutting to do. As you can see, that is shaped. So turn it over and I'm going to do the other side and taper that as well. If you haven't put enough Tombow on your double layers, it'll come apart at this bit. If it does, no big deal, just glue it together again. At least you've only got a little bit. Okay, so it's not perfect by a long chalk, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere it on the back there, so that's got a nice bit of strength to it, and I can have it quite high because the stalk is going to be the bit that's going to hold it in place underneath. Now this is a bit fiddly, this bit, but it is worth the effort. So I'm going to put my glue on here. I'm going to put it a little bit on that leaf there, that join. There we go. Now I'm bending this to get it to curve. And I'm using a little bit of kitchen roll to get rid of the worst of that. Okay, so that's holding down really nicely, but because that is glue there, you could use your adhesive eraser, your adhesive rubber to remove that, but it's a bit iffy because it's so delicate with all the leaves. I'm just happier using this. Okay. Right, I can sort out the length of all of these as I go along. Now the first two that I'm going to put in are the two little ones because they're at the front of the vase. You could, if you wanted to, put the tape on here. You'd need to make your strips a bit thicker actually. What is that? Is that 3/8? No, it's only just over 1/4. That's frustrating, isn't it? But you could. If you put tape on there, you could curl it over the way I showed you earlier on. But I'm going to chance my luck and go with Tombow. Okay, so there's just that. I'm going to just blot that off so it's not too thick. I'm going to pop it in there, and I'm going underneath both ends, and then I'm going to close my card so that I can press it down. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to do this one again, Tombow. There's not very much on there at all. I'm not going to worry about wiping that with the cloth. And this one I'm going to do slightly different height. And then close. When you're putting the flowers in, all you really need to watch for heard something stick then. What you need to watch for is make sure your flowers don't come above here, and when you close it they don't come out of the side there. So now I'm going to put this one in, and this is going to be going down quite a way, and it's behind the little flowers. Okay, so I can see how long this is. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it down a bit. I'm going to cut that off. And then still holding on to it, I'm going to put some glue. And then I can adhere it on the inside again. Okay, just give it a few seconds for it to get a grip. If you find that you can't do this with fingers, use your bone folder to push it up and against the inside of your vase. Okay, now, oops, that's not gone down far enough. Oh, come on, Tombow, rather. And I've just pushed my flower off as well. Right, okay, I need to cut a bit more of that off. That's better. It was definitely too high there. Okay, so I've come back down again. Now what did I do with that flower? Let's pull it out again. That's it. Maybe I dried off too much. Oh no, this was the one I said was alright, wasn't it? This is the second flower. That was the leaves. I'm going to put this one back in again. I wanted that a bit higher, didn't I? That's better. Another way you can hold it is by with your tweezers, by putting it down. There we go. Yep, that's good. Now I'm going to put one of the tall ones in. Let me just check, see how I did do this. Oh, that's right, I remember. I put one in here and the others I put at the back. So how much do I need? Let's cut some of this off. That's good. Now, did I put it in front of the... Yes, it's right in front of the greenery. So I'm going to go in between my two flowers. Don't allow Tombow to get to it just yet. There we go. Let's make you go behind the little ones. That's it. There we go. No, you're going to be too tall again. Right, what you can do, if you do what I've just done, made it too tall, is look from the bottom, and if Tombow's being nice to you, you can pull it through. Possibly even make you pull it off. But that's okay, we can put it back in quite easy. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Right, now I'm going to put these, and the stem went sideways, and what I did was I pushed it in like that, and before I adhered that one down, I turned the stem sideways. Okay, you see, and I am going to put some glue on the back. I need to cut some of this off. Okay, so that's going to go there. Just give that a few seconds, and then I'm going to lift the flower and just glue that where it is. In fact, let's put the glue down there. It only needs a little bit just to hold it. Okay, so that's coming together quite nicely, isn't it? And then one more, which I'm going to put in this way. He can go there. I don't want to take too much off of this one. If you're not sure about how much to cut off, do it in easy stages. So you cut a little bit at a time. There we go, that'll be nice, won't it? Okay, so I'll put some glue on the back here. Oops. And I'll just put a little bit of glue behind that one as well. There we go, so that's a bouquet of flowers, look at that. Oops, too far. as usual, please do as I say, not as I do. Oh, I see what I've done. Oh, I didn't think about that. I've actually glued the stem onto here. Oh well, I've just learnt something. Don't glue anything on the back here, because if you're like me, you're going to glue it against your bar that's moving. Let's see if you can see that. Whoops. You can see that, can't you? You see it right at the end here. Oh. Okay. So the important thing is, don't adhere on the back. Keep everything onto here. If that flower was smaller, that wouldn't matter, would it? But I can't glue that flower down. Oh well, it stays free. So let me just finish off the front. And I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals. Oops. There we go. I will probably trim that flower off there, I think. Right, okay, so that's that. And I brought my pearls over to decorate. And I think I'm going to use the dark ones because I do like those. There we go. And do we want a flower on the front? And do we want a double flower on the front or a big flower on the front? A double flower, I think. There we go, and that's today's project. As I say, it's a bit fiddly with the flowers, but the only tricky bit was the bit with the actual vase bit, getting the last piece in there. But it really is well worth the effort, isn't it? It's beautiful. So many thanks for joining me today. As I say, I'll put all the measurements in the box below the video. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave those in the box below the video. I do like reading your comments, and I'm always very happy to help, and I'll answer your questions for you. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click on the subscribe button down there in the right hand corner. And if you shop in my 24-hour online Stampin' Up shop, please remember to quote the April HOSTESS code so that I can send you some free product when I send you your Happy Mail at the end of the month. Many thanks for joining me. Please take care and stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Happy crafting. Cheerio.